just sick and tired of the consistency of people that are influential to you are leaving us consistently. That's our rappers. Takeoff was murdered in a dice game in Houston, where we're going. So that eliminates all y'all leaving that hotel, because it ain't happening until I give you further notice. So whatever her name is, whoever she is, parents, everybody, they're gonna come to the hotel to visit you because y'all ain't leaving. Sooner or later, we gotta start changing our addresses, guys. That's an analogy to saying, I know we this, but we ain't that. We gotta leave that behind that we once did. And that's what you guys are. Now you guys are Jackson State royalty. You ain't know, man. You're not whoever you were a year ago. You're not even who you're gonna be a year from now, which is a blessing. But you can't continuously do the things you've always done and expect to get the results. It's gonna have to be a change. All of us have gone through drastic changes. Have we, coaches? Have we, coaches? All of us are still evolving into what God has called us to be, and that's change. You cannot kick it with the same dudes you kicked it with. You cannot kick it with the multitude of women that you kick it with. You cannot associate in the same realms that you associate with. You're gonna have to change if you expect change. You can't do it. It's gonna come to a time, they can talk about you, they can mock you, they can ridicule you, they can cuss you out, they can clown you, whatever they want. But you're gonna have to separate sooner or later. You're gonna have to disconnect. Sooner or later, you're gonna have to. So get that in your spirit. I'm sad because it just seems like it's always us. But we want to say we matter. We want to say we keep it in 100, but it's always us. Now we lose another soldier to some bull junk that when we look back at it, the gentleman gonna say, dang, now his whole life changes. Because now he's incarcerated or murdered in a consequence of what transpired. Because you know how the game is played. And I don't want y'all playing that foolish game, because y'all are valuable to your families, friends, loved ones, and you're valuable to us. All right, let's think about that. Let's pray for the families. Ain't got no time to dig foolishness. Let's go get it.
And with that, I'd like to say that we are sorry to the family. We are praying for their strength and their courage. As Deion Sanders said, another one. And this is practically, I hate to say every day, it's too much. It's too much. It's too much. And it does impact all of us. It impacts all of us. So we're going to continue with legacy. And remember the word legacy. There is no legacy without us. So we're going to continue with legacy, closing the gap here with legacy on ITRN radio. And one of the greatest things that I can do is pass this on to T. Todd Simon, who's going to take you into another day of closing the gap with legacy. Thank you for doing all that you do, Todd. Thank you.
Ms. Collette, thank you so much for that awesome introduction. And as we get started on this segment today, we want to first welcome all of our listeners. But before we get into it, I want to stop and do a quick pause, moment of silence for my brother Takeoff, Nipsey, Pop Smoke, Young Dolph, a lot of our young soldiers that were lost to gun violence and senseless things in the community. We're going to take a quick second, just pause before we get into the show. So let's just pause for a quick second, give a moment of silence for that. All right. And
Can I say one more thing before you start, Todd? And thank you for giving us this time during your show to bring this up. I have with me here a list of murdered hip hop musicians from 1987 till now. There are 60 names on this list. 60 names on this list. I found another list that I haven't printed out yet. I found another list that has over 100 names on it. This has to stop. We have to do something to stop this. This is decimating our community, and we cannot continue to sit by idly and watch this happen and make excuses and think that this is okay. This is not okay. This is not okay. You know, look at this.
yes.
These names on this list, all the way back to 1987.
Right.
And guess what? With this trajectory, next month we'll be hearing about another one if we don't do something. So that's all I wanted to say. Again, thank you for giving us the time to say that. And hopefully we can find a resolution to this.
We will, Kenny. So no problem with you taking a couple of minutes there to discuss this. This is super important in our community, and that's why the introduction of this gentleman that we have on our panel today is super important. So I want to just jump right into it. Ty, if you can take yourself off mute really quick.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just want to introduce you guys to a pillar in our community here in the Southeast, Mr. Ty Williams, the founder and CEO of Established Gent. How you doing today, brother?
I'm blessed, man. And I'm not just saying that cliche-ish, but I'm really blessed, man. I mean, for the simple fact of just simply still being here and in my right mind. I'm blessed, bro. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing fantastic, man. I'm doing fantastic. You know, with our segment today, man, I really want to first dive a little bit into who you are and then get into Established Gent. We'll spend most of the time on Established Gent and what you guys focus on, because that's super important. That's one of the things that we can focus on that then prayerfully will stop the trend and the cycle of the certain things that we know that are happening in our Black communities, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So as we start in, Ty, just tell the people that are listening that don't know who you are, a little bit of your background, what you do as a profession, and we'll just start there.
Okay. Well, everybody, my name is, my professional legal name is Tyrus Williams, but I go by the name of Ty Will. Obviously, that's both names abbreviated. That's a brand name that I came up with through a mutual friend. However, man, what can I say? I've been in Columbia for January will be 23 years. I came here to go to college, stay with my uncle, and I got a lot of discipline through my uncle, who's retired military. But long story short, man, I was working and I got fired on the job, man, because I was on Facebook. This was back in 2004 when it first came out. And back then, I don't know if you remember, but you had to have a college ID to get on Facebook back then.
Yeah, I remember that, bro.
Right. So I was on there. I had that screen up, and then I would go do some work, and then I kept the screen up too much. They fired me, man. And that day I said, man, I'll never work for anybody or never give anybody that much power over me again to determine, you know, when I work and when I don't. Right. So jumped into entrepreneurship. While I was working there, man, I started my first, I would call it my first business. I grew up in the church, so I am a former worship leader, man. I've been leading worship, man, since the age of 19 to the age of 39, 40.
Right.
So I did that. That was the first business. And I say business because I treated it like business. The jobs that I had with churches were contracted. They paid me on a weekly basis. Doing that, also tapped into barbering. Started professional barbering back in 2009. And while I was barbering, I ended up picking up a camera, taking pictures of my heads, and I became a professional media specialist. And that's actually certification through the National Guard, South Carolina National Guard, as I did a contract with them for 3.5 years. And then my latest baby, man, is Established Gent. 7 years old, actually. So it's walking and talking. Don't get me wrong. But overall, man, I'm an entrepreneur that's all about empowering the Black man.
Absolutely, brother.
Yeah.
And I was gonna tap on the fact that you were a worship leader. I don't think a lot of people know that you can sing.
No, they don't know. That's a secret weapon now. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. But when we talk about entrepreneurship, and what it is that you do with having multiple hats. One thing that you just said that's super important, I think a lot of people that are in business don't really understand, is that you have to treat the opportunities that you have as if you're already existing as a business owner.
Yes, sir.
You said something about having contracts,
Yes,
making
sir.
sure that you were paid in a timely manner.
Yes, sir.
When it came to those contracts, and you ran them like businesses. So what
Yes,
was
sir.
for you to start out that way? What were some of the things that happened prior to, besides you getting fired, looking at Facebook, besides that, what were some of the foundational things that had you start your journey to entrepreneurship in that manner?
Good, man. I've always learned through my uncle, actually. First of all, discipline, personal discipline. Yeah, I got my discipline from him, and it at first became harsh, or it came off harsh. But then I realized, I was like, nah, he's actually not disrespecting me. He's actually helping me. And if I take these principles of what he's teaching me, I can have a long life and be successful if I use it. So discipline, man. I learned discipline as far as whenever I wake up, I get up. I may lay there for 5 minutes, but since I was 20, man, if I wake up at 6 o'clock, 6:05, I'm pretty much sitting up in the bed, ready to step out and, take a shower or whatever. So discipline. I learned consistency, that I can't do something right one time and then say, okay, I did it right, so I'll come back, in February and do it again. Nah. So I had to do things consistently. And then I would say, just to add a third one in there, just to focus. That's one of my favorite phrases, man, just to stay focused. Like, no matter what you do, just stay focused, because it's not always going to be high. And it ain't even always going to be low. But if you stay focused, keep your eye on the prize, as they say, you'll go somewhere, man. So I learned those key principles that helped me and continue to help me to be the man that I am today, especially as a businessman.
Absolutely, brother.
Yes, sir.
And when we talk about, it was a couple of actual professions in there that because you're really modest in how you explained it, we're going to circle back, and I need you to unpack them a little bit. So
Sure.
As a barber, you're not only a barber, bro, you're a master barber, first off. And then you're doing something, there's something on the horizon, like a men's lounge or something like that.
Yeah, I forgot I'd share that with you. yeah. So I'm actually in the process of renovating the space that I'm in. I'm a private upscale barber, so I work strictly by appointment only. You can't just walk in. It's not a actual looking, quote unquote, barbershop. It's really next level, I would say that. And I'm actually working on getting this ready by January 1, so I can enhance the experience for my clients. But I'm creating a gent lounge. That lounge will really be members only. It's going to be exclusive. It will be the first one in Columbia.
Absolutely.
Hands down, first one in Columbia. Yeah.
Dope.
Yes,
sir. Go ahead and send my application for my membership.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm coming. Even though we both don't have any hair
right
anymore, I can do something, a beard or something. We'll make it work.
Yes, sir.
But also, you talked about, as a photographer, picking up the craft with just starting where you were, right? Taking pictures of your clients. And then that led to a certification, but also led to a contract with the National Guard. What type of focus did that take in order to get a contract with the government for doing something that started, I guess, somewhat as a passion, but then now became income producing? Can we discuss that a little bit?
Yeah, man. It took extra focus, man, because you think about doing photography. For me, I think about doing photography, and it's easy, man. I can just walk out, and I live downtown. I can walk on Main Street and just have my camera out and just snap. And of course, somebody would probably come up and ask, hey, man, are you a professional photographer? Do you have a business card? They can do that all day. I did that, getting jobs. I treated those jobs like assignments. Like, okay, what if I never shoot anybody else again? Is this the last picture they're going to see of mine? You know?
Mhm.
So I started treating things like that. And I remember, man, I posted a picture of a young lady and her husband that I shot. And an old friend saw that picture and liked it, said, Tyler, you're a photographer now. I'm like, yeah, that's one, you know, I'm doing multiple things. This is one. And she asked how long I had been doing it. And I told her, and then she said, man, keep up the good work. This was probably 2 or 3 years prior. And I said, okay, cool, man. I'm getting some good feedback. I didn't even have to ask her, if she needs a photographer, let me know. She knew that I was a photographer. So long story short, man, I stayed at it, stayed consistent.
There
And
we
then
go.
one day that same friend, she became the director of this program that was sponsored through the National Guard. And I was the first one on the list as far as being the media specialist, because she saw the consistency and she
Right.
saw the quality of the work. And that's what she wanted to help rebrand. So I came in and I helped rebrand the whole organization.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And
Yes,
that
sir.
points once again, like you said, back to the consistency and
Yes, sir.
doing it as if this might be your last time.
Last time. Yes, sir.
Right. And so
Yeah.
that's putting a lot of excellence into your work. So I want to actually go ahead and transition over into Established Gent.
Yes, sir.
And with Established Gent, I just want to get into the mission statement. It says Established Gent is an organization focused on empowering Black men through mental health,
Yes, sir.
mentorship, communication, entrepreneurship, etiquette, and self-awareness.
Yes,
Their
sir.
goal is to reach as many men as possible through monthly events that bring men from all backgrounds together for the cause of networking, expressing ourselves through socializing, and our form of therapy is a safe space for men. So
Yes, sir.
let's go, man. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
that is such a weighted mission statement, but because I follow you guys, I can see the various pillars of things that you guys do. So we're gonna start first with mental health.
Yeah.
At the top of the show, we talked about, we heard from our brother Deion Sanders in light of the tragedy that happened recently.
Yes, sir.
And 3 things that he had in the background when he was talking. I don't know whether you had a chance to see it, but it says that there should be a sense of urgency, commitment, and expectations, right? And
Yes,
so
sir.
when we talk about the mental health piece, you had a brand that says Black men need therapy too.
Yeah. We
Let's
partnered
unpack
with.
that and talk about that part as far as the mental health piece and
Man.
how that's such a major focus for Established Gent.
That's dope, man. We partnered with an organization out of New York called Dope Black Nation, who believes that everyone is dope in their own way. And of course, that's a Black-owned business. So this guy reached out to me, and I said, man, hey, I'll support, sent money for the first shirt. It came back. I was like, oh, this is real. Okay, because you got to be careful out there.
Right.
So once I got it, then I put my team on. I was like, hey, fellas, if y'all grab this, we could get on some marketing type stuff with this organization. And that's what we did. But in that time, man, I remember when I brought my shirt and I wore it out to like a Starbucks or Panera Bread. And I can see people looking like, oh, yeah, I can agree. I can see people agreeing with it, right? But at the same time, I was like, man, but am I really believing this shirt? Like, am I really believing that I need therapy? Because I feel like I'm strong, man. I got it all together, or, blase. But it wasn't through, it was through wearing that shirt that I realized that I had to start tapping into some personal things, man. And I had already gone to therapy, from a previous relationship and from some personal experiences after that, to continue to help with my healing. But that brand, man, they help really, really, really help bring exposure and awareness to the organization after about a 6 to 7 month hiatus. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, man. So with that, with mental health being one of the probably the strongest pillar, right? That's one of the things that in our community, you said it best a moment ago. And hey, I'm good, I'm strong, I can handle it. And a lot of times as Black men, we have to be so strong, all the time, and you wind up being fractured in private. Hurting in private, hurting alone. where you don't have the opportunity to then speak that out and begin that process of healing. So with wearing that shirt, bringing awareness back, and also it sounds like it challenged you to
It
dig a
did.
little deeper personally. So can you unpack how that personal challenge then spawned into this being a pillar of your organization, and one of the focuses with the other brothers in the organization, now outwardly focusing and talking about how mental health is so important in our community?
Yes, sir, man. The thing is, Todd, the question is, it's not, can you handle the situation? Like whatever that situation might be, it's can you handle your mind, right? So I learned the fact of, okay, if I could just, and church is in me, God is in me, right? So
yes, sir.
the scripture says, if you keep your mind stayed on him, he'll keep you in perfect peace. I'm big on peace, man. So it's like, man, perfect peace? Okay, cool. Let me just stay focused. Going back to my key words, right? But still, at the same time, man, you have so much ahead of you. Even in my personal experience, I went through a divorce, and we were separated for 2 years. For those 2 years, I was like, yeah, man, we'll get it back together. God gonna work it out, whatever. And I'm just waiting on God to work it out, but I ain't putting in the work myself. I'm just out here doing whatever, I'm focusing on work for money, but I ain't even trying to fix the marriage, right? It wasn't until that day, I remember, man, we got divorced, and I had my good friend Dion Jenneret with me, because you got to take a witness for the ones that haven't been divorced. You got to take a witness to the court with you. And we were coming out. The session was only 10 minutes long. And I remember we got to the elevator, and my wife said, she took her ring off and she said, here's your power back. Man, I had never cried in a public place like that outside of church a day in my life, man. Like, my boy had to hold me and take me down the elevator. I was like, bruh, all this time, she acknowledged that I had power, but I didn't even realize that I had power. You see what I'm saying? So that moment, man, is when I started initiating acts of servanthood, just really focusing on, again, scripture, doing unto others as I would have them do unto me, or treat them how I want to be treated. So I started just really rekindling some things, man, even going back to my, at that time, my mom had already passed, but going back to my dad and my family members, just not even apologizing, just trying to reconnect with them and say, okay, well, hey, I want y'all to at least, let's try to make this thing work before the next man or sister passes away. Start doing that work, man. And then in the organization, I realized that a lot of Black men, going into this other topic, we struggle mentally because we don't trust one another, or we're competing with one another because of ego. All right, you got on the suit, I got on a turquoise jacket and black jogger pants, but that don't make me any less than you, right? And we sat down at the same time. We both had on jogging suits and snapbacks, and we still felt good about it. So what I saw was, man, I said, man, I need to create an organization or expand the organization to where this can be a place for men. And I got to correct this too, and not that you've said it. I think you know what the vision is, but a lot of folks think that we're a mentorship program for little boys. I have nothing against that, but we're not. Like, the mentorship portion that we have in our organization, yes, that can cater to boys, but that specifically is for men. Because you think about it, man, if we were being mentored from 6 to 17, 18, all right, after that, what's next? Either going to the military, going to college, or you going to work.
That's
Who's
it.
helping you though, right? So we're that organization that can, we got military personnel, a guy named Nick Lawson, a veteran. We got a lot of college grads in our organization, whether that be for, they're part of a fraternity or whatever the case may be. And I mean, just hands-on entrepreneurs, workers, guys that come together from, again, like the mission statement says, bringing different backgrounds together to say, hey, yeah, we might have grown up differently. And I'm from the West Coast, man. I grew up on another side of the country, but that don't make me any better than anybody on the West Coast. So creating this safe space, man, for the organization has really, for me, helped me mentally, because now, like, even when I started the organization, I started it so that I can create a level of accountability for myself. That's right? Good. Because sometimes we can be out here saying, okay, well, I'm gonna do it right, and I'm gonna do it right. All right, cool. And then you go a week and nobody knows you've been doing right but you. So you go back to, well, nobody knew I was trying to do that anyway. But if I
Right.
expose that I'm trying to do right to social media and a group of 5,000 men, so to speak, now y'all gonna be looking and say, okay, well, hey, all right, Ty, what you doing today?
Mhm,
Oh, okay,
mhm.
I see you. You got on a suit. You're talking to the boys. All right, good deal. Oh, okay, I see you over there. Now it's holding me accountable. And even in that, man, it was hard, but I got to a place where I said, man, you know what? This ain't really hard no more. I mean, it's got its challenges, but I made
Right.
this thing a lifestyle. It's who I am. I'm an established gent. So now
That's dope.
it's tagging other brothers along to say, man, how you feel? That's what I'm
Right.
asking them. How you feel? Like, what you thinking? All right, how you feeling? The thoughts are changing. Okay, I see you. Okay, your clothes fitting better now, you know?
Right.
And it ain't even from me or any of my team members saying, hey, man, you need to wear a better suit or that. No, we're just making you feel safe without judgment, without trying to correct you. We're just saying,
Right.
hey, bro, we all here for the same. I don't want to see you fail, and I need you not to see me fail either.
That's right. And
I
that
said a lot,
points
man.
right back to that iron sharpens iron thing.
There you go. There you go.
Because right there, man, you talked about how it's a safe place. And then that led to another pillar that you guys had with the organization, which is communication.
Yes,
So it
sir.
sounds like the open communication that you guys have been able to establish in Established Gen has been one of the biggest parts from what
Yes,
I'm
sir.
hearing, and I can assess that has allowed real transparent conversation to happen. And,
Yes, sir.
and back to your point, I think a lot of times ego is in the way, competition over collaboration is
Yes, sir.
normally a big key with us. But also being able to have complete transparent conversation about what I'm feeling, what I'm going through, and also trusting that the person that I'm communicating with has my best interest at heart. Because
key.
most of the time we are a lot of times in our neighborhood, we're fighting so much.
Yes, sir.
So you can't be vulnerable in most cases. So it sounds like with that safe place, you guys have created that place where you can be vulnerable, but also walk with a level of accountability that helps people grow. And I want to applaud you guys for actually doing that. Also the entrepreneurial piece. Unpack what made you focus in on, because most cases, most people will focus in on boys and young adults, where
Yes,
you're
sir.
focusing in on men and you're
Yes, sir.
talking about communication, healing, entrepreneurship. So what
Yes,
was
sir.
that piece that made you put entrepreneurship as one of the founding pillars of Established Gen?
I like that question, man. I think you're the first person that probably has asked about that portion of it, right? Because I'm a man of multiple streams of income. When one is having a bad month, I don't feel it because I've got multiple streams. I'm sure you can relate, right? So what happens is, if we teach guys who they are, and we teach and allow them to be in safe spaces with other men, and we're encouraging each other, and we're not competing, but we're collaborating, it mostly it opens up a door for something else, right? And that's a sign of entrepreneurship, because you could be a blue collar, white collar worker, but you're attending one of our events, and then you come in there and it's 15 entrepreneurs in there. You might be a barber, photographer, fashion designer, producer, whatever that. But then you say, man, okay, cool, man, all right. We don't want you to feel, and you're not going to feel any less because you work, a 9 to 5. But you're going to be like, man, okay, man, you need some help on the side? Yeah, I can use some help, man. I mean, matter of fact, yeah, I can use you every weekend if you down. So we're teaching methods of, okay, don't get so honed in on just one thing or what you've been doing for. We got the oldest guy in our group that's a board member. I think he's 49 years old, right? And we're like this. His name is Lee. I'm sure he don't mind me sharing this. I remember him. I was with him when he went through his divorce, because I had already gone through mine. And I was with him when he lost his dad, because I had already lost a mom. So it's, I'm like, okay, cool, I can support you. This man said, man, I'm gonna do this time. I got this job here, man, but I'm actually gonna do this on the side too. Right then I told him, I was like, bro, that's entrepreneurship. Because now you ain't just working at one job, you're doing this. And he's like, yeah, man, you inspired me, man. I'm sitting around here and y'all always doing this and you're doing this. And I look at my budget and I'm like, okay, cool. If I had this amount of money, I can do this. And then somebody else encourages and says, okay, well, why don't you just do that on the side? you know? So we push that, man. Entrepreneurship, because I'm a true blood, what they call a serial entrepreneur. I feel like it needs to be contagious. Like if you hang around me, you either gonna have another business or you're gonna start one. And that's just how I feel, you know. And all my guys that are on my organization, man, they have a business and they work. So it's like, okay, we got to get more guys out there that can tap into who they are. Again, going back to that, and that's another part of the last portion of self-awareness. And then once you become aware of who you are, you really are exposed to the better sides and the greater sides of you. That might be becoming a barber, or that might be starting your own cleaning business. That might be, you know, mounting TVs. I got a homeboy, you know, he came to our Vision Board Social back in 2017. And I said, hey, man, anybody that's in here that's close to me, after today, if you don't tap into something else, I promise you we won't be hanging out too much. And that same night, I remember my boy Greg Stark started Mount King CEO. And at first I was like, man, you ain't gonna get too much mounting no TVs, you know.
Right.
Once they get there, you know. But then after a year, I said, okay. He was consistent. He stayed focused. And he always asked me questions like on the side, like, Ty, okay, well, I'm about to do this, man. What did you do? How can I get a booking system? Da, da, da. So I just wanted to be contagious, man. Entrepreneurship I believe it's in everybody.
And that's good. That's good. And
I believe it's in everybody.
Pulls that true, better version of yourself out. That was a great point. I want to circle back to one that we actually skipped, which is etiquette, which actually leads me into my next point. Around the community flash mob. Man, that was probably one of the most powerful things that I've seen and been a part of in recent memory. But it was, I don't know the exact count of how many men you had there.
44.
It was 44 men.
Yeah.
And so you walk through the city. It was a community flash mob. Matter of fact, what I want to do is allow you to unpack what that community flash mob was about, the intent, and how etiquette played a big portion of, and not only how we felt, but also how we were perceived from everybody that saw all the men that were involved in that community flash mob. So can you tell us the vision behind that?
Oh yeah, man. The vision behind it, man, it actually started in 2020. I attended my first flash mob. I'm a part of the Atlanta chapter of Black Menswear, who is technically now a worldwide organization. And they had the Black Menswear Atlanta flash mob. And I went down there, man, it was 300 plus men suited up. It was just mind blowing, right? I got so inspired, man. Before I left, I made sure I connected with at least 20, 25 guys. And then I got posted in this group. I had on a pink hat with a green suit. So the hat guys came and they said, man, let's take some pictures together. So we did it. And that picture almost like went viral, right? Got a lot of feedback from it. So I was like, man, all right, we got to get this here in Columbia. So I went out of respect to the organizers. I emailed them, communicated with them, and they said, you know, just not yet. That the closest they would come was Charlotte, which they did come to Charlotte. And I said, man, okay, cool. I'll just do it on my own through my organization. And what I did was I said, I want to do a flash mob for the culture, for the African-American culture of men in our community. That could be boy 5 years old, 2 years old, all the way to 90, right? But I wanted to do it for the culture. And the very first one I did was, I want to say February of 2021. I was way out of box. My suit game is on fleek, Ty. I got a brag for a moment, right? I got like 65 suits, right?
Right.
So when I'm putting this event right together, I'm like, all right, I need everybody in a brown or khaki suit with brown belts and this is gonna be dope. I'm telling my team, they're like, oh yeah, cool. And then I realized once everybody came, it was like 10 of us. I was the only one, maybe 2 other guys that had on a brown suit. Everybody else came in like black, gray, blue. And it hit me. I was like, I'm thinking everybody got my closet. And they don't. But I got it now. I said, I got it now, right? So we did that one. Got great feedback from that. And then it did one about 4 months later, May of 2021. That was our biggest one. We had 75 guys come out and it was raining. We were down at the Colonial Life Arena. I had on a green suit and I told everybody just to wear whatever Sunday's best was. And we broke them down into sections based on the color of the suit. I had about 3 photographers, 2 videographers. It was big. It was phenomenal. And that went over well. And then this most recent one, I specifically staged it for us to be seen. And the way it worked, man, we started at the State House. You were there. I said, okay, guys, y'all just, come. And I wanted to make sure something that I haven't done. I said, we're going to open up with prayer this time. So had Pastor Andre Barnes open us up with prayer. And even in that prayer, I said, yeah, this is about to be good. They don't even know what we're about to do. We're about to really, I had flags made. I had 2 young men carrying the flag. I said, hey, all right, y'all, after we do these photo shoots, we're going to walk straight through Soda City because I want Columbia to see what's going on. And by this time, we had already, I had already done an interview on the news with WIS 10 talking about, what was going to happen on that Saturday. And man, I mean, you were there, you can attest to it, man. But just walking through, I mean, I felt like a king. I know Timothy Griffin standing to my right felt like a king. I know Ricardo and everybody else standing beside me, we felt like kings. And we were walking through Soda City, Columbia, chanting Black man stand up. Because again, it's for the culture, man. And then standing up is not just, walking up in a nice suit. It's like, nah, whatever they might have pushed you down in the economy, get up and keep going, keep standing, keep moving, stay focused, stay consistent, just stand up.
Right. One of the biggest things in that thing, man, it was disruptive, bro. It was super disruptive.
Yeah.
And, saying Black men stand up publicly takes courage.
Yes, sir.
And as an organizer, it takes vision to also be able to mobilize a lot of men in that fashion. So definitely, man, keep up the good work. I want to transition into yoga. I've seen that you guys been doing yoga and some other things. Please unpack the whole yoga thing, bro. Because I mean, I would never in a million years think about even doing yoga, let alone seeing my brothers doing it, man. So talk about, the benefits of doing yoga and something that you guys as a team have focused in on trying to work on, man.
Good deal, man. I'll start with me. I've been big on prayer, of course, again, grew up in the church, worship leader. And then as I grew spiritually, Todd, man, I started tapping more into meditation. Just keeping my mind in a certain place. When I say prayer, for me, I'm praying to God. I'm specifically saying, okay, God, thank you for this and whatever. But with meditation, it's really all the thoughts that I thought. Now, I thought about slapping somebody yesterday. Let me gather that thought. I thought about blessing somebody earlier this morning. Let me gather that thought. So meditating, bringing all those thoughts back to my remembrance and releasing the ones that aren't healthy, right? So I've been doing that, God knows, maybe 10 years. And then I met a friend. And I had studied yoga, but I was like, I don't know, man, that's kind of weird. I can't see myself sitting like that. But I met a friend and the first thing I said, hey, I see you do yoga. Can I get a class? And she said, yeah. So I'm like, all right, cool. Let me, before I bring this to the guys, I got to make sure. And that's the leader I am, Todd. Like before I bring anything publicly, or I kind of got a vision of it before I give it to somebody else. That's like me saying, okay, well, I don't even eat burgers, but I'm gonna give you a burger. I don't know if that thing can kill you or not if I don't try it, right? So that's how I looked at with yoga, right? I said, man, let me do it. And when I did it, man, my very, very first experience, I'm gonna use the word euphoric. It was euphoric, man. I went into a deep meditation that I had never experienced before, where I literally was in the moment. I wasn't thinking about my kids. I wasn't thinking about no business. I wasn't thinking about my apartment, my car. I wasn't thinking about established rent. I wasn't thinking about nothing. I was just in a safe zone, right? And I stayed there for like an hour. I think it was an hour. And then when I came out, she said that I was snoring, that I was asleep. I was, drooling out the mouth, all this stuff right here. And I was like, whoa, it felt like an hour. She was like, nah, it was like 3 hours, like, whatever. I mean, I'm exaggerating time-wise, but I remember that, man. So I said, man, you know what? I think I told Timothy, one of my members, I was like, yo, man, y'all got to try yoga, man. Like, we got to do it. So that's what we did, man. We did about a month later, we tapped into it. By this time, I'm already 3 sessions in, but I wanted my guys, again, if something is really helping me, and something is really building me and you're connected to me, I'm going to invite you like, yo, this is what's working, man. I feel like this will help you out. Again, collaborating over competing. So when I brought them in, we recorded their experience. We recorded the experience, and everybody basically gave a testimony about what yoga did for them. So the goal is to do it on a monthly basis. Now, we missed the past couple of months, but we're going to get back into it top of January. We're going to hold monthly yoga sessions for people that are interested, specifically for men, but we're going to open the door up for women to come as well, because it's just another space, man. Not only is it stretching, but it's actually grounding yourself. It's showing you how to ground yourself. Like, you might have had a high moment, or somebody might have took you there and ticked you off, but just come on back down, before you lose your cool. Just come on back down. So yoga, man, for the best of us, will be one of the best experiences.
That's great, man. And,
Yeah.
and talking about, how emotional intelligence is super important, right? When we
Yes,
think
sir.
about what's going on in our community, right? We talk about mental health, but also you talked about grounding, right?
Mhm.
And being able to slow down for a second, to be able to think through how you respond.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's one of the things that I teach my children. I've had to learn that myself. I got the Napoleon complex, Ty, you know me. My mom taught me to swing out first, bro. Like, you may not be able to take this punch, so you better go ahead and swing first, right?
Yes, sir.
So a lot of the things that we then are sometimes learned behavior, it can sometimes trigger us to then react too fast, or react in a way that is not conducive to who you are at this place.
Right.
Now you can unravel a lot of work, a lot of healing, a lot of growth that you've had in the past by not being able to slow down for a second. And with the yoga, it sounds like that's one of the things with the organization that you have been able to tap into, man. So once again, applaud you guys for that as well.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
Want to try to it was another little small caveat. I know I'm letting a few cats out of the bag a little bit.
It's cool, man.
But talk about the barbershop series that you guys did, man. I did see some pictures about that.
Yeah.
Unpack what the vision and the thought process of with the barbershop series and what you guys want to accomplish with that moving forward.
That's good, man. It's funny. Tim and I actually just talked about that today at the barbershop. But we started this thing called Barbershop Talk. But after that, we instantly changed it to Chair Talk, right? But Barbershop Talk is really, again, publicly creating those safe spaces for men to come in. So at the first one, we had Pastor Andre Barnes. He brought his son, Timothy Griffin. He brought his dad. It was myself. And what we did was we just unpacked. I had a moderator, one of my good friends, Brittany Davis. She moderated she threw out questions. Nothing was staged. I didn't know what she was going to ask, but she threw out questions to the men from a woman, and we answered in our own way. And we got that footage. We just haven't released it yet, which now is the time. But again, it's that safe space. It's allowing us as Black men to come in and sit amongst each other, whether we're drinking coffee or whatever, and we share our thoughts, again, without being interrupted, without being judged, and without anybody, just feeling some type of way. When we left that barbershop that night, everybody felt encouraged. Like, nobody felt over-talked. Everybody felt heard. Everybody was listened to. Even from Brittany being the only female, she made sure that she constructed the questions, and if the answers were going left, she brought them back the right way. So our goal with that is to publicly invite people to a safe space, because we have, of course, the flash mob. We'll be doing monthly yoga sessions. I'm actually going to include monthly workout sessions. I'm just trying to think about the major things that guys do on a regular, but let's do it more together. I mean, because, guys go and they work out on their own, or for the ones that might do yoga like me, I'll do it in the morning on my own. But how can we do this together? Like, so if we schedule at least one day a month, now we can do it amongst others. So just, again, man, going back to the safe space, like that safe space may be here at my apartment having brunch. And we've done that. We've had brunch gatherings here. where it was just me and my immediate team. We were just sitting there talking, and I was picking their brain, like just seeing how they thought, like just weird stuff, man. It's weird, but it's good, you know.
Right.
Just
Well, I mean,
always,
you can't
always
always talk. You can't always talk about sports all the time. It got to
Exactly.
get in that, right? It has
Exactly.
to. It can't always stay surface. So,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was and I'll get to a few questions in the chat as we get ready to kind of wrap up. But I
Okay.
did want to highlight something that I saw on Established Gents page, and it said most men are only tolerated, not celebrated. We as men got to make sure we're up to the standard too. And so I want you to unpack that as we get ready to kind of segue in and ask a few questions. Can you really kind of speak to that point, with that being something that was coming off of the banner of Established Gent, with most men tolerated and not celebrated, man? Unpack that a little bit for us, bro.
That's good, man. I started a podcast, a personal podcast, in the midst of the pandemic, and I was unpacking my thoughts, from being divorced, you know, from being a father, and wherever I felt I was weak at, I was just unpacking some of those things, right? And I remember, and not my ex-wife or anything, but I remember while I was married, I felt tolerated. I'm just, okay, well, he with her, so we'll tolerate him. You know, we don't see this joker doing too much, or, you know, whatever. Or if I was with my family, man, it's like, you know, he thinks he's better than us, but because he's family, we'll tolerate him. Never felt celebrated, bro. So I started celebrating myself, you know. I love myself, right? So I started making that more clear and letting people know that regardless if they don't love me, I love me. So where we go? Let's not think about them, but you got to love yourself in order for you to understand me, right? So I started getting myself around like-minded people. And if I didn't get myself around like-minded people, I made it safe for people to open up and feel love, right? And I began to celebrate them. Whether they love themselves or not, I started celebrating them, saying, hey, man, I know you might not feel like you are where you want to be, but trust me, bro, I see greatness in you. I started speaking life into them, man, because, again, I'll say this, Todd, to caveat from it, right? It's hard, man. Like having this organization, being who I am, it's hard because I'm doing something and I'm creating something that I never saw. So
That's good.
I got to celebrate guys because nobody celebrated me. I mean, now I get it. Don't get me wrong. But in my early stages, nobody celebrated me. Nobody said, Todd, keep going, man. Nah. Everybody was just waiting for me to fall. So again, changing the narrative, changing the thought process and say, no. I don't want to see my brothers fall. We just had a recent experience, man. Something inside the organization. I was like, man, I gotta do something to show that this is really what this organization is about. And I did. And I felt great about it, man. And that brother, he complimented and thanked me so much, man. Like, man, I appreciate you. Like, you know, you're really standing up to what you are promoting. So that's what it's about, man. Like Established Gent, we have to, ain't no if and we have to not only be established in our personal lives, but we have to reach out to those other guys that might be struggling in that communication area, in that etiquette area, or in their business, whatever they're struggling. We have to be prepared enough to go out there and, you know, support them, man, and help them be a backbone. So.
Absolutely, brother.
Yeah.
And you know, that led me to something that I read where it talks about check on your strong friend.
Yeah.
Because, you know, a lot of times, you know, that's you're the one that won't get a call.
No.
But you have to then put out what you want for it to be reciprocated back. So,
yes, sir.
You know, applaud you with that. And we're just gonna get into a few questions before we get ready to land this thing.
Okay.
There was a question: is there any focus on self-awareness in conjunction with entrepreneurship? In other words, is there any education around the ability for people to be able to distinguish the difference between their monetary identity, entrepreneur, job, whatever, and the one's natural personhood, the inner person, and the separate, you know, eyes from the world? So basically, is there any focus on this self-awareness in conjunction with entrepreneurship?
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, if viewers view our website, estgent.com, I've got a section on there where I do branding and marketing. I think it's labeled branding, entrepreneurship, branding and marketing with Ty Will, right? And I'm actually going through a certification process to become a life coach. But in the meantime, branding and marketing, I got about 6 guys that I currently coach. The branding aspect is a personal aspect because I don't believe you can have a brand and you not be the brand, right? It's just like when I talk about Ty Will, I talked about where it derived from. It's just the shorter version of me that's more impactful versus you saying, oh, this is Tyrus Michael Williams. It's like, oh, okay, that's a long name, right? But but if you say this is Ty Will, it's like, oh, who? Now you got to ask again. And then when you ask again, now I can show you who I am, right? So that's what my branding package consists of. All right, let's figure out who you are, self-aware. Let's see where you are. Let's see what are your strong suits. A lot of times I run into guys that, they say, well, I'm weak in that area. For me, I'm like, all right, cool. If you're weak in that area, let's sit it down and let's only focus on what you're strong in. And lo and behold, man, those weak areas, somebody has come on and said, man, I can help you out. And it's like, well, you can help me out right there. It's like, oh, what's this? Oh yeah, I've been doing this. That weak area now has help because I'm allowing you to only focus on your strong suits. So those two coincide, branding and marketing. Once you get that branding aspect from a self-awareness standpoint, it'll tap you into the proper etiquette of entrepreneurship. Hopefully that answered the question.
Yeah, I think it did. I think it did.
Okay.
And Ms. Collette, we'll open up the line for just a few other questions. If there were any other questions for anybody that wanted to tap in really quick. You guys got any questions out there for Mr. Ty Will, the founder and CEO of Established Gent?
Oh yeah, bring it on.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Established Gent, Gent.
Yes, ma'am. Established gentleman.
Established gentleman. So can you describe fully what that entails? If someone were to go to Established Gent, what does that mean? What would they get? What would they get out of it? Can you tell us that?
Yes, ma'am. If someone were to come to the organization, I want them to understand that it's a hub for adult men, meaning, we call it, I think they call it pubs. Like pubs are like bars for guys, they come there after a long day. They come there for happy hour and say, man, before I go home, I'm going to have, 2 or 3 drinks, whatever. Kind of taking that concept and flipping it. We're calling it the hub for men. So you might have a free weekend and we're doing an event. It's like, you know what? I ain't got nothing to do this weekend. Let me go check out what Established Gent got going on. Now you are invited to that hub. And in that invitation, the goal is to open you up and show you that we really have a holistic lifestyle. We can do this, we can do that. We can become all things to all people.
Oh, okay. All things to all people.
Yes,
Are there any plans to take this on the road?
Oh yeah, I started this organization July of 2015. My very, 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 very first assignment was teaching young men how to tie ties in Cincinnati, Ohio. At I think it was at an AIM convention, Church of God in Christ convention.
Oh, really? Uh-huh.
Yeah. So we've been taking it on the road from there to I've done it in Florida. We've got a partnership with an organization down in Aiken called Success Team, focusing on some other partnerships. But we're open. Like we just left Greenville this past weekend from attending another flash mob. So we're open to whatever, Charlotte, Atlanta, LA, Seattle, it doesn't matter. We're ready.
Okay, so you said Atlanta.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, are you aware of the new Black Wall Street market?
Yes, I'm aware of it via Pastor Jamal Bryant. He promotes it heavily.
Okay, I know that name, Jamal Bryant. I think I
New
get
Birth.
Yeah.
Okay, I know
Yeah.
that name. Okay, so
Yes,
are
ma'am.
you going to set up something there in the market?
Well, that would be nice. I'm open for it. Now, as of now, we're not like doing vending stations or anything, but I'm the type that because I know that they have a Black Wall Street in Atlanta, I'd probably make it a day trip for guys to go check it out. That's what I would do. Instead of just setting up a booth or something, I would get a group of guys to either meet us there or let's road trip down there in suits, sharp, and, kind of walk through there and support the businesses. Yes, ma'am.
I think you should do that all over. I think you should do that in Dallas. I think you should do it in Houston.
In DC, I believe it. Yeah.
In DC, especially in California. And let me say this, one of the things that I like about Legacy is their focus is you all.
Yes.
I really am enamored by that. I'm just, that is just so powerful. Yeah. That is so powerful.
Yeah.
Hands and hats off.
Oh, yeah.
To Legacy for that. And I believe that with you all taking the leadership roles that you are engaging in, there is a way to recover. Because if we don't start the recovery process like a couple of years ago, we're out.
Right.
And I believe that you all can help us recover. And I think you need to do, I'm not real sure about the flash mob. I only see things on TV, where they're dancing and things, but that's not the flash mob you're talking about.
No.
Okay.
much more classier. It's classy. It's classy gentleman stuff.
Do that.
And to that point, Ty, when you did the community flash mob, I was involved. Of course, we put some pictures and things out on social media. One of the brothers that's with Legacy that lives in Compton, and he was like, "Hey man, what y'all think about doing that out here?" So,
hey, let's about that life. I'm about that life.
And you know what? I think that you should, because when Nick told me about what Legacy is doing, he mentioned that there were 6, 7, or 8 cities with the a predominance in the African American population.
Yeah,
nowhere in California is on that list. And the myth is that California has a large population of Black people. Not true at all. Not true at all. And folks need to see what other folks are doing. Yes,
I agree.
Absolutely. We're gonna definitely take it on the road, Ty. I'll help spearhead that together and make sure.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. But as we get ready to get out of here, man, I want you to do 2 things. First, tell us 3 points that you want to leave the people with that may be tapping in with us on YouTube. 3 points when you look back over your journey of coming from a gentleman on the West Coast coming to the South, your journey through business and everything that is all Ty Will. What are 3 points that you could give to somebody when you look back over your process and your journey to becoming who you are today?
Oh man, 3 points. One being fault and responsibility are not the same thing. 2 different things. It's kind of 2 in 1, but I'm going to use that as 1. Fault and responsibility are not the same thing.
Love it.
So another point would be to really love on others. I'm gonna keep that one simple, like really love on others. And you can only do that when you really and genuinely love yourself. Because if not, you're giving out what they call in these streets fake love, right? Love. And real people are going to recognize fake love. And last but not least, man, because it's the backbone of who I am, you must have a faith and a fear of God. You must believe in that something that's higher than you, and you must fear it. Yeah,
absolutely, brother. So great 3 points. Tell the people as we get ready to sign out where they can follow you, your social media platforms, where they can follow you, share your information, things of that nature.
Indeed, on all platforms: Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, at ESTGent. The letters ESTGENT. Our website is estgent.com. And just come there. If you got questions, it's a 24-hour hotline type thing. Not hotline, so to speak. Like, you ain't gonna be able to call us now. But you can send a DM and I'll respond accordingly. But we're open 24/7. So yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. As we get ready to sign out, back to you, Ms. Colette.
All righty then. Once again, Todd, you did it again. You
Oh,
did
yeah.
it again. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Mr. Ty Will,
Yes, ma'am.
great information, great conversation.
Thank you.
Cannot say it enough. And I am just not sure where Todd is getting all these gems from. He's getting, you guys, they're nowhere near this place.
Jim knows.
Keep
Jim.
coming back.
Jim. Yeah, a Jim knows a Jim.
A gem knows a gem. You got it. Diamonds, diamonds, diamonds.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And it has
Thank you.
been great. This has been T. Todd Simon signing off with Legacy, closing the gap with Legacy, the Legacy series, right here on itrnradio.com. And thank you for joining us. And folks, join us again next Thursday for T. Todd Simon, closing the gap with Legacy. And you are listening to the Intentional Talk Radio Network. Don't forget, folks, we've got the telethon coming up on Saturday, right here, itrnradio.com. That's 3:00 Pacific time. Join us right here. You want to be a part of it. Thank you. Have a good evening. Be safe going home.